there has been a lot of controversy and discourse around whether award shows should form certain categories for actors who identify as non-binary. Obviously, there are different categories for men and women in the Oscars and pretty much every award show at this point. And those originally were made for equity purposes so that everyone gets a proper chance at winning these awards. But that's not enough because there are I can count maybe 5 non-binary actors who identify as neither gender, and they feel they deserve to revise all of the guidelines so that they can be specially represented in these award shows. So recently, the BAFTAs has made their final decision. They're not going to introduce non-binary categories in any of their awards. And this was after the Brit Awards decided to add non-binary categories for their musicians. But at that time in 2022, the BAFTAs said they were engaged in proactive and thoughtful consultation on the subject of gendered acting categories and were speaking to sector peers, industry stakeholders, and experts. And their decision was not to add these new categories.
And they're just shaking at the backlash that's about to come to them.
I mean, if they were that scared of backlash, wouldn't they just comply and just
saying they stood up for what they believed in? Look, but also it's funny because Hollywood is one of those places. If you want to make an actress angry, call her an actress, not an actor. They hate that.
So stupid.
Yeah.
I have heard that they want it to just be actors, instead of actor and actress categories, at the award shows.
But wouldn't that mean less people win overall?
Yeah, it would.
That's the point. You can never.
Award show last year and all the category entrants were men, or 4 of the 5 were men, and then everybody got mad. They're like, well, what do you want us to do?
Yeah, they were trying to be equitable and inclusive, and it didn't work.
And then they're going to say they're sexist when the man wins.
Right.
This is what I mean by intersectionality, right? You can find your complaint at every level, which is why it's impossible to reason with them, because they will find some way to frame it in a Marxist fashion.
Also,
yes,
again, there are 2 non-binary actors. Okay, so they have a higher chance of winning an award than everybody else.
Right.
It's the Bella Ramsey Award.
That's basic math.
Yep.
I'm not a math person, but I think that works out. So they say awards nominees will now have to pick a side and choose whether they want to compete as actors or actresses. And this announcement places non-binary performers, you can't call them actors, Emma Corin, Emma Darcy, and Bella Ramsey in a tricky position. Revised guidelines released last week say that film producers must confirm the gender or gender identity of each candidate for nomination. It's up to the entrant which category they enter into.
First of all, that seems like a level of privilege right there. They just wait for all the other nominees to be named and find the thinnest competition and just enter that one.
Yeah, I don't know how all of it works.
Obviously, that's not what it was. They would have to pick ahead of time which one they want to be considered for. But
also, it's you go by Emma and Bella.
Yes, that's what I kept hearing.
I don't know who this is on the left, but they have the same suit tailor as Jordan Peterson, apparently. Or Two-Face.
That's Emma Darcy from House of the Dragon, who plays a woman in the show. Bella Ramsey also plays a woman in The Last of Us. But why not just submit based on the gender of the character you're playing? Would that be possible?
It's too logical.
Is that?
Yes.
Well, unless your character is non-binary, which I'm sure would happen at some point.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's when the real trouble will set in, when the character is supposed to be non-binary, and then they have to choose whether they're in a male or female category.
What gender is Pennywise?
Yeah.
What if they're a non-human character? What do you do then? It's just too complicated, and ultimately, you got to grow up.
They do it.
Pick a lane.
That's what I was about to say. They made the right decision because ultimately they've got to pick a lane. Do you want to be at best actor category or best actress category? Pick A or B. And I mean, if you want to go back and forth movie to movie, that's your prerogative.
I like the idea of just making it gender neutral awards because the award shows will be shorter. There will be less categories.
Shorter. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Just make one award every year and make everybody compete for it.
If you think it'd be half the time.
Yeah.
This is
cut it in half.
This is interesting. I feel like some female musicians and actresses feel slighted by this because obviously female categories were introduced so that women could also win awards at the same rate. But this says the Brit Awards no longer have gendered categories such as Best Male Solo Artists, a move widely thought to be driven by non-binary singer Sam Smith. But Adele, who won Best British Artist in 2022, said on stage, "I understand why the name of this award has changed, but I really love being a woman and being a female artist."
Yes, Adele.
She feels like she was cheated out of...
Oh, I think you said Sam Smith said that. I'm like, what?
No, that was Adele.
You wouldn't have been surprised.
After they changed it and made all of their categories gender neutral.
Okay.
And she felt like that was the wrong move.
Oh,
But
I remember that.
I don't know if like she got backlash for saying that, if people came after her. But this is kind of the same thing that's happening in women's sports, which is a whole other can of worms.
See, Adele,
Yeah.
Which is
Adele's
also
on
more-
a high horse because she's like one of those women that's actually so rich she's paying her husband after they got divorced. So
Yeah.
she's particularly alpha.
Yeah. But the all male nominee list that you were talking about was at the Brit Awards. It was the Best British Artist shortlist being all male. Because they went gender neutral, and that's what happened.
Sucks to suck.
Like, obviously, the result is not things being more diverse and inclusive.
If
so,
if it
what are
isn't
we doing
the
here?
consequences of your own actions.
Yeah, it's hard to feel bad for them because they all are like cheering for this.
Yep.
And cheerleading all of these progressive updates to our reality.
Well, that's why actually when you're talking about this, I actually want them to I want her to go compete in the male category because they're going to give it to her because they have to give it to her at that point. Because if not, they would be ist.
Like Adele?
No. I'm talking about
one of the actors.
The actors,
Okay.
and I'll tell you why. Because then we can get it on the other side. Because currently, someone who played college basketball, it very much upsets me that women's spaces are being dominated now by biological men. So why not just let them feel screwed over for once? They're all in on it together, so they can all they can all live with it.
They would
quite
have
frankly.
to coordinate that. I honestly just don't think that women, especially in a business like Hollywood, would do it. I don't think they would ever do it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Trump dance.
Oh yeah.
He's gonna save TikTok.
It's gonna save TikTok. I just don't
would
think that a
love-
bunch of actresses would actually stand up for themselves like that.
I wonder what Donald Trump's opinions are on gender-neutral award shows.
He's like, they're stupid.
He's got thoughts on that.
But yeah, I think Emma Corin is in The Crown, right?
She was in Deadpool and Wolverine.
Right.
As
a
who?
woman,
Who did she play?
was Cassandra Nova.
Oh, okay.
But Emma Corin, who uses they, them pronouns, previously claimed that awards ceremonies aren't inclusive enough and said that changing it to gender neutral would enable everyone to feel acknowledged and represented.
No, it wouldn't, because only way less people would win.
Yeah.
That
She
makes no
said,
sense.
I hope for a future in which that happens. I don't think the categories are inclusive enough at the moment. It's about everyone being able to feel acknowledged and represented.
This is like boomers will tell you that this is the product of participation trophies. This is just the product of weird Marxism and feminism.
Yeah, and it's, really Marxism and feminism that's being celebrated by women primarily.
Yes, it is. Because
Which
they
is
love
why
the
they're not going to
idea-
fight back against it.
They love the idea of talking about oppression categories and things like this.
True.
Yes.
She also said, when it comes to categories, do we need to make it specific as to whether you're being nominated for female or male role? You can discuss awards and the representation there, but really the conversation needs to be about having more representation in the material itself, in the content that we are seeing for non-binary people, for queer people, for trans people, because then I think it will change a lot. When those parts come up,
But the role is not being nominated. The portrayal of the role is.
Right. Yes.
Right? That's
Yeah.
what it's. You know what this is? This is what happens if you gave all the power to a bunch of stoners who sat around and were like, dude, what if we expanded this?
What if
and,
we lived in a utopian
Yeah.
society where everyone
because men and women, right? We're not that different.
Maybe we're all the same.
We're all the same.
we really haven't progressed in any sense since John Lennon's Imagine.
That's the song I was thinking
We
of.
have not moved past that culture.
Yeah.
We're still in that.
I mean, artists haven't changed. That's the thing. If you want really good art, it takes people that are extremely emotional and able to evoke emotion really well. They have to be connected to that, which is why I usually push back when people call acting easy. It's not. What they do is very, very difficult. But the type of person it takes to want to do that for a living tends to be John Lennon-esque, wishy-washy, and not. It's why it's
usually
funny.
narcissistic,
very, very self-conscious, and very, very hard to They don't. It's why when you meet conservative actors, it's so funny, because somebody who does take a more analytical approach to the world, you wouldn't think they would be able to do that, but people contain multitudes, as they say. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.